ever go from fine to furious in half a second? Like everything's okay, and then one dirty mug ruins your entire day?
Yeah, like your brain suddenly decided this is the final straw. Except it's not about the mug. It's your body, and specifically your chemistry, trying to save you from a danger that doesn't actually even exist.
ADHD rage isn't just anger, it's a body that's been running on stress hormones so long it's ready to explode over anything. Welcome back. I'm Jess,
And I'm Jeannine.
and this is Angry on the Inside. Quick disclaimer, we're not doctors or therapists.
But we are certified ADHD coaches. But this podcast isn't coaching.
It's two late diagnosed women unpacking what we've lived and learned. Make sure to take what works for you and leave the rest.
And remember, you're not the only one feeling angry on the inside.
Today we're talking about ADHD rage.
More importantly, how cortisol plays into it. Because ADHD rage doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's often ignited by a nervous system that's already running on fumes.
Cortisol isn't the villain, but when it sticks around too long, it becomes the fuel waiting for a spark.
ADHD doesn't just mess with focus. It messes with feelings. When we hit frustration, rejection, or overwhelm, our brains respond like there's an emergency, even if there isn't one. Like we're being chased.
If neurotypical brains feel annoyed, ours feel end of days. We experience emotions faster, louder, and with less time to think before reacting.
That's not overreacting. That's a brain that doesn't get the memo to downshift. Your nervous system sees a threat. Cortisol starts rushing in to help you survive.
Except the threat might be an email notification or someone chewing too loudly.
Hey, I've got email notifications. You get that one from the boss, you're like, oh, yeah.
The panic. Oh,
And I would rather be chased by.
I could probably freaking agree with you on that one, Jeannine. That's so terrible, isn't it? It's like, I would rather be in a high threat situation than receive an email.
It seems less threatening. And you know what I'm talking about. When your brain is wired for urgency, every emotion feels like an emergency.
And that rage moment, it's not a moral failure. It's your nervous system trying to process months of unspent stress chemistry in about 5 seconds. Let's talk about cortisol. It's your body's emergency alarm system made to protect you from danger.
It is great when you need to outrun that bear, but it's not great when your brain thinks the bear is in your inbox.
ADHD brains trigger that alarm more often and have a harder time turning it off. So chronic stress, multitasking, masking, perfectionism, all of it keeps cortisol elevated. And we know all of these things we're doing every single day.
And when cortisol hangs around too long, it rewires how your body handles emotion, and you can stay in that constant state of just being ready to react, that constant fear state.
We become kind of addicted to that constant fear state also, especially when we're younger. Before we start to get to that exhaustion point, I really think that's when we kind of thrive on it. That's when you kind of like it, where you're like, I can do it. Just running high on that cortisol and that little bit of dopamine that you have. When something small happens, the mug, the tone in someone's text, it's not that you chose to rage. It's that your body's been waiting for somewhere to dump all of that rage, to expel that cortisol and flush that chemistry out.
And I think that's perfect what you said about the brain. Brain kind of likes it, or it needs it, especially if it's bored, right? It needs something to get excited about.
It is that release of rage, like that momentary, and it's like you feel so much better. And it's way more fun than crying.
It's like our brains are like 5-year-olds that just constantly need to be entertained.
Go figure. And we're like, I'm not that 5-year-old boy running around, not able to sit down. Oh, I am. It's just inside.
Rage isn't creating the cortisol. The cortisol is actually creating the rage.
Exactly. It's chemistry first, reaction second.
That sounds like a name of a song.
Doesn't it?
Chemistry first, reaction second?
Or a book on relationships.
Ooh, I think that's a better, yeah. What's really happening underneath all that cortisol And that's your stress responses. With ADHD, we can bounce between all these different states in seconds. Our brains are already overstimulated. So it just takes one little thing, one little spark, a sense of rejection or a noise or like the chewing, like the person chewing. Yes, I've had that situation before. I don't like is people breathing loud. It just all triggers that survival mode and it's just instant. It's scary how quickly it happens.
I will say one of the instant rage ones for me that I know that I can go into a fight response is when electronics fuck up because I know I cannot fix them. I know it is going to annihilate my entire day no matter what I do. And there's just something about it that just, and I will like, it seems so simple, but I will get so freaking rageful and angry and
Mhm.
mad so fast.
I remember reading about ADHD symptoms, and one of them was like low frustration level. I thought, I'm like patient. I'm so tolerant. And then when I really started paying attention, I've got like the freaking tolerance level of a 2-year-old.
I had a boss that used to say, "Oh, Jessica has the patience of a saint," because I would deal with the more difficult clients. And I used to think, who the hell is he talking about? Because that is not me. Because I know, like, especially when I was younger, man, my road rage, I would never got out of my
Mm.
car or anything like that, thank God. But just being in the car driving home from work every day in
Oh,
the Chicagoland area, oh God.
I
Whew,
can't even imagine. Oh,
every day. I lived like, what was it, 4 miles from my job every day, 45 minutes, one
oh my
direction,
God.
every day.
That would drive me insane.
It did drive me insane.
That's the point where I would go 50 miles out of my way just so the car would be moving.
Right? Well, and it's for my husband had close to the same truck, but he took the train downtown. So he was 30 miles away and I was 4 or 5 miles away. And it took us both the same amount of time to get there, but he didn't have to deal with braking and stopping. He just found his favorite seat and plugged in until they pulled into the
A
station.
hard way to start a day and end it.
All of these responses, it's that cortisol flood. It's the chemical cue telling your body that you're not safe.
It's one of those things that once somebody says it's like you're flooded with cortisol, you instantly know, like, oh my God, that's exactly how I feel. And I can remember even talking to my daughter when she was really little. And I just said, you feel flooded, don't you? And she was like 8 and she just looked at me like, oh my God, you get it, you know. But I feel like if you haven't had that feeling of being flooded, once you do, I know you know exactly what we're talking about.
I do know exactly what you're talking about, and I love that your daughter did. It's some of those descriptions, and this is totally off topic when kids do that and they look at you and you feel like you're just connected, like you both know exactly what's going on in that moment. I swear epigenetics, it's like this little link between your brains. And it's like not telepathy, but you just know. And when it happens with your kids, when they're little, especially though, things like that, I just find that to be so amazing.
Amazing.
But,
I got to make a Taylor reference because that's the
ooh,
thing about her. What's so magical. You can have an emotion, have no idea, and she has a lyric for it. And you're like,
mm.
oh my God, that's exactly how I felt about that situation. I just couldn't come up with the words.
I love that. I love when music resonates with you at that level. It's just so special.
Whatever emotion you have, she's got a song for that. So
Which is also very just amazing in and of itself. The emotional range that she is able to bring to her
yeah,
catalog. I think that's very interesting.
that's why she has so many fans.
But, I love her for her business sense. I just can't help it.
I was going to say that's just about as good. Um, the longer you live flooded with cortisol, your body starts to treat that as just like daily life. Daily life is just a full-time emergency. You're always on edge. You're always on watch. You're always on guard.
This is the time in your life when I feel like you start to notice that you start to vibrate, like this little low hum of impending doom.
Yeah.
And it just sits there with you. And once you notice it, it takes a lot of work to get that to go away. But That's why we're doing this episode, to explain how the chemistry connects to the chaos.
Yeah. And I think that's the same. We talk about like being hyperactive or restless. My brain's doing that all the time. And it starts to just make you just kind of crazy. After you've had this explosion, you're not just emotionally drained, but you're actually physically exhausted.
Chronic cortisol messes everything up. It messes with your sleep, your digestion, your memory, your immune system. I mean, that's why ADHD burnout feels like the flu, not laziness.
I always love when they call it laziness because it's just like, but I'm exhausted. I thought lazy was just you weren't doing something because you didn't want to or whatever. Uh, you said that kind of you're vibrating. Um, it's like you're tired, but you're also kind of wired up at the same time. Your body wants to rest, but yet your brain is refusing to shut down. Just takes a life of its own.
Here comes the shame hangover. Or the wine hangover, depending on what kind of night you're having, and that's totally okay. But it is the guilt.
Also, shame, hangover. It's kind of, yeah, it's
Yeah,
valid.
I think they're kind of one and the same for some people. No matter what, that guilt's coming. And that why did I say that replay loop in your head? It's not just the big booms, it's the quiet fawns also. Why did I say I would do this? Why did I say it was okay? Why did I just walk away rather than standing there and expressing my opinion? Then if you did rage, if you did fight, if you did decide to say something, I think it's just something about us in general, maybe the neurodiverse community, that because we hold so much in, when we decide to get mean, we get real mean. That fight, that rage response, it can be downright hateful. And I think that's one of those ones that when it does come out, that's the true guilt. That's like the worst of
Yes.
all when it comes to guilt. I think the others tie closely into shame because we feel like we haven't advocated for ourselves, or we haven't stuck up for ourselves, or we think of all the ways we could have been stronger in the moment. But when it comes to the fight, I think that's where the real regrets come into play.
I have had those where it's almost like an out of body experience. Like you're hearing yourself or seeing yourself and you're thinking, what the fuck? Where did this come from? Why am I saying it? Once again, you can't explain yourself. Because you can tell someone, I am so sorry, I didn't mean it. But they were the recipient of it. And you had so much vitriol, is that the word? Or, and there was just so much emotion behind what you said. If you put yourself in that other person's shoes, you can see why it's really hard for them to be like, oh, okay, never mind. You just said it. You didn't mean it. But then you also can't explain why you said it. The thing is, you can't shame yourself out of a cortisol crash. However, you can learn to regulate it.
And self-regulation is the key. Emotional regulation, self-regulation, learning to self-regulate, that saves lives. That can literally save a life, whether it's yours or someone else's.
Or save a relationship.
Yes, saving a life can mean saving a relationship. It can mean saving the life and the grace that you would have had you not fucked up.
Yeah.
We lose jobs, we lose money, we lose out on so much. And yeah, we're hardwired for it. Yes, we have these overwhelming cortisol dumps and these adrenaline dumps, and all these things are happening to us. But at the end of the day, it's still landing in our laps, learning how to regulate ourselves once we're adults and looking towards our children to teach them how to co-regulate. Let's break some cycles. Awareness first. ADHD is not a character flaw. It's your nervous system trying to protect itself. So it's your nervous system trying to protect you, and it's you trying to protect yourself.
And as we said, you can't shame your way out of it. You can't think your way out of it. The only way you can start to tackle it is by learning to regulate it.
There are several ways that most people know. We want to highlight some body first resets. We'll put the links below for additional information and infographics. But you feel these things coming on, breathe deep and slow. 4-7-8 style. In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8 counts. Move your body. Walk, stretch, shake it out, verbalize, say, I need a minute, and then actually take a minute.
That's what you can do in the short term. But the long term, it's all those things that we're always supposed to do. Get enough sleep, watch what you eat, make sure you eat. Therapy, coaching, all of these things can just help you learn to reset your system and learn to take that moment that you need.
Every pause you take is a protest against your own burnout. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. Your body's just doing its best to manage a stress system that's stuck in high alert.
ADHD rage, that's what we see. But the cortisol is what's hidden behind it. That's the fuel source. When we start to be able to learn to manage that chemistry, um, the outbursts, the explosions, they start to become smaller, recovery gets faster, and most importantly, that shame gets quieter.
You're not broken, you're just wired differently and maybe a little tired of running from invisible bears. If this episode made you exhale a little, share it with another woman.
Someone who's rage texted and then immediately regret it, like, why can't you take them back? You should be able to.
And I feel like that's $1 million idea. You should set up something on your phone. It's like there should be like at least a 20-second delay for people who like to rage text or who text and like screw up. That would be awesome.
And if that technology exists, can you please put that in the comments? Take a breath, give yourself some grace, and remember, you're not the only one who's feeling angry on the inside.
Thanks for listening.